It worked.
Yeah.
How you doing, Wayne?
I'm good. You? Are we live?
I think so. I don't know. I'm still getting my head around this new tech, so we'll see.
That's fine. What I'll do is secretly just bring up YouTube on my phone and check the channel.
That sounds like a plan. Sounds like a plan. So we thought we'd do. It's a bit of a late night one, but we thought we'd do another podcast, and we thought we'd do it. Well, I say podcast, a chat. We thought we'd do it live just to really kind of throw ourselves in there a little bit. And this being obviously a follow-on from our conversation earlier that started, and we went, do you know what? Let's go off, look into some bits, and then come back and talk about it here.
Yeah, we are live as well. Just so
Awesome. Lovely.
So, yes, brilliant. So live works after 20 minutes of me trying to set up where I'm going to sit. But yes, we had a brief conversation today, didn't we, about the future, or the perception of what the future could be, because it had sparked an interesting query in my mind, which, as we discovered, is essentially a stumble into propaganda, potentially, isn't it? A wording.
It sure is. I have so much to unpack here, but first, you start with how you started it earlier. So bring up the subject.
Yes. So what I was saying really, and it was just in passing, wasn't it? Was with what you see in the mainstream media about electric only from 2030 and things like that. My thoughts were, what I was saying was, if that's the case, and we already have a trend of electric cars being banned from racetracks, it was sort of, if you progress that on and project it forwards, what does motorsport actually look like? Or motorsport maybe even just for enthusiasts. What does it look like if we can't have electric cars at racetracks? And that was where we got to, and then you shot me down, didn't you?
Well, I wouldn't say I shut you down.
You pulled me off my propaganda stand and came up with an argument in response.
Somewhat. I'm just going to say hi, Oscar. Oscar's watching, and one awesome only viewer. So,
for now,
tell very much. Big F1 fan he is. So,
right.
Yep. So I've got a bit which is actually I've been delving into F1 as well on this. So now this links somewhat to our day job as well, and it's one of the things we always discuss, isn't it? And always say to people is, don't believe what you've read. Don't even believe one source. Go to many sources, and if you can, go as close to the original source as you can. It's the key things, isn't it? And the longer I've been in this kind of work now and all of that, the more I question myself. And what's more, the less I tell people to trust me. Like years and years and years ago, 20 years ago, I'd have told someone something and said, hey, trust me, this is true, and I'd have told them with such confidence. Now I will tell them something. I will say something to someone. I might be 100% confident, but I will at the end of it put the caveat, but go off and check for yourself. Or look it up for yourself, make sure I'm right. Or I'll even sit there and go, just let me double check I'm right in what I'm telling you. Because it's that whole thing of you really can't trust. And nowadays with AI, you can't trust what you see half the time as well. But that's a whole different matter, really, isn't it?
It is.
So one of the points you made as well was Anglesey and banning the electric vehicles.
Yeah, that was the one I'd mentioned because I think that was, unless I'm mistaken, because now we have to say that all the time because of what you've just said. Unless I'm mistaken, that was the first one. So that was where it came from, really. Was just thinking, what would that look like? And I kind of, off the back of our discussion earlier, I kind of already sort of thought down the lines of more track day and enthusiast. Because obviously we have Formula E and we have things like that. But it was just, it seemed like an interesting subject, interesting topic to discuss.
Yeah.
And that's before we even weigh in with our own opinions of electric and combustion options.
Everything else.
So.
Now, interestingly, when I got off the phone to you earlier, and I had a quick chat with Mile Half about this as well, and one of the points she made was about the car park fire the other year with the EV that burnt down half of the airport car park and all the cars in it. And that sort of linked off the back of what you said about the track banning electric vehicles. And I think that's going to be a massive part of it, because petrol isn't safe, we all know that, but you've got a chance of putting it out. But as we've seen with the battery cars, there was the ship as well, wasn't there? The cruise ship that was transporting all the cars. One of them caught fire, and it was I just remember seeing video footage of them pulling the cars off the deck and putting them in the massive vats of water, and that's it. Now what after that? So obviously, I love a rabbit hole, and off I went down it this evening. So let's start, if I can bring this in, with, here we go. I'm going to get rid of this one so we can see what's going on. So if I hide that, there we go, and bring that. There you go. Is that all right?
Fine for me.
Fine for you. Right. So this was my first bit, and there's the sources. I've put the sources in as well, so we can see them down there.
Very academic. Of
course, have to be done. So this was the government website overview. Okay, phasing out the sale of. Now here I've highlighted, right, what I consider to be key parts. So phasing out.
Very.
It's not
ambiguous.
Stopping. It's phasing out.
Yeah,
the sale of new petrol and diesel cars from 2030. From 2030, phasing out from. And support for zero-emission vehicles transition. Okay, so that's the first thing. They're not all going to be banned by 2030. It's the phase out. Government has commenced consultation on phasing out the sale of new petrol and diesel cars from 2030. So this is all from 2030. No new petrol or diesel cars will be sold after 2030. Now, this is a weird one, because it says phasing out the sale from 2030, and there it says no new petrol or diesel cars will be sold after 2030. Please do.
I don't know where I can put my hand up on this new.
Well, I can see you say that.
So I'm just going to put my hand up.
We're not on Teams.
There's maybe another word in there that I think needs highlighting, and I think
go on.
Potentially, it's another optional way out, should we call it, or a back door. Consultation.
I knew you were gonna say that. This is all still
doesn't mean final, does it?
No,
we're making decisions on stuff that might not even be in a position to make those decisions by then.
Yeah, it's all still. This is all still. We're deciding it.
Yeah.
All new cars and vans will need to be 100% zero emission by 2035. Now, again, that's a key thing. It doesn't say electric. Everyone gets hung up on electric.
Yeah.
It says zero emission, and that's a massive point. I think it's like all of this here says is phasing out zero emission. So that's the first thing. So
we all know that none of them are zero emission, though, if you actually consider the vehicle as part of the.
Don't you worry, we'll get to that.
We're not going that. Are we not there yet? Okay.
We're not there yet. But yeah, this is it. We've got wheel to well or well to wheel. Sorry. Yeah. So that's the first bit. That's the overview. Now, if you go through the actual document, yeah, I read the whole actual document.
What's that document?
Huh?
Your name's over the how many pages there are.
Oh no, right. What I would say is this is a Word doc I created of the key bits. So I pulled stuff out, right? Really? So again,
backtracking there then.
Yeah, going down, I've again linked it there. See, gov.uk. This is straight to the source. This is the main source, gov.uk.
Good.
So the actual document, the phase out. Now, this is the key wording I mentioned to you earlier, and I found it. The phase out of all new cars powered solely by internal combustion engines. solely. So it doesn't say powered by or with them, it just says solely by that. So hybrids are still an option. And as we know, there are some pretty hot hybrids out there right now, aren't there?
Yes, a lot. Yeah.
Is it revolting? I don't know. The Lamborghini, Revelto. That's what you get for naming.
We're picturing it with our accents anyway. I think everybody knows what we mean. They're Revelto, I think it is.
Revelto. So that is an example of a car that is technically a hybrid because it can travel under battery power. It might not do a lot. It's only 10 miles or something. But the fact is, it can do it.
Yeah.
That's the thing. That's pointless. Yeah, it's all pointless. So the document here confirming that from 2030, all new cars will need to be hybridized in some manner or be zero emission. Again, zero emission doesn't say electric, right? For which we will get on to bits about that as well. Now, there's a lot here, and I don't want this to be like this could be hours long. I don't want it.
Nobody wants to read your document, Ed. Sorry.
Say again.
Nobody wants to read your document, Ed.
No, I've picked the important bits. Yeah. Now, here's one. You'll like this. Transport remains largest emitting sector of greenhouse gas emissions, producing 29% of the UK's total emissions in 2023. Road transport accounts for up to 89% of domestic transport greenhouse gas emissions, with cars alone responsible for 54% of those emissions. Those are big numbers, right? But if you go on.
No, I'm processing the numbers and I'm trying to work out where what's us and what's public transport. Then I'm assuming 54% is personal owned vehicles and the rest is public transport, trains, planes. Planes can't be in there. One plane taking off. There's more than all cars.
It's done the whole thing.
But so we're assuming that's buses, taxis, anything that's used.
Well, this is it. It's 54%. Cars are 54% of road transport. Road transport is 89% of the total emissions, which is 29%. So actually, cars are 54% of 89% of 29%, right? Which is 14%.
That's right.
14% of all greenhouse gases for cars, right? They don't give you the actual other figures directly here.
Of course.
I'm going to jump across now.
Did you go and find the other figures?
Of course I did. So I need to quickly find, and I believe it's that one. So if this works, it should go to there. And I need that one. This is the interesting bit. Here they actually detail it. Domestic transport, 13%. Here's the really interesting thing. Electricity.
Zoom in a little bit.
Zoom in?
Yeah, just a little bit.
I can zoom in.
Thank you.
Look at that.
Excellent. That's lovely.
Here's the nerdy bit. Here's the nerdy bit. 13%. Roughly what I worked it out to be, because I was at about 13.8% when I worked it out. Okay. Electricity supply, 78%. What do electric cars run on?
And here we go. Well, this is the thing, and until you can get electric for free, all they've really done is pushed it into a different pile, haven't they? Here's a bad thing. Let's shift it over here. It's misdirection.
It's sleight of hand, isn't it? It's the magician.
Yeah.
78% electricity supply. 78%. That's nearly. We were 89% on all road transport, so we were only actually 11% behind all road transport if you count it like that. Electricity supply, 78%. Massive. So there we go. That was an interesting thing that I saw and thought about. And there we go. There's it, sort of how it all breaks down. So this is more, where we're really at on it.
Okay. Very good.
So let's jump back into. I won't bore you with that one for now. So what we're basically saying is electricity, producing it currently, massively. That we need to get that bit under control as well. I mean, more here about the zero emission vehicle mandate, complemented by additional flexibilities. It's all these, all these little buzzwords that are sort of not really definite, not really certain, are they? They're very.
I think this is the problem, though, with this is what we were saying, wasn't it? Is that there will always be some hook or something. Smoking mirrors, the stats shit now. Definitely. There's always a hook. There's always like a buzzword or something that's there to draw you in, isn't it? Now,
Yeah.
I haven't had enough time, unfortunately. I was doing bedtime run before here, but I did Google one thing, and I went to Motorsport, actually, and the title of the document, yet to be read, was Anglesey Circuit bans electric and hybrid vehicles from its track days. Anglesey Circuit banned electric and hybrid vehicles from taking part in general track days at the venue amid concerns about dealing with any safety issues that arise. So they're in the same. They're saying banned for a start. Concerns about dealing with safety issues, but that title actually says they have banned them, and that's hybrids as well. So your Revuelto and things.
Yeah.
It sounds like they're not going for a track day in that car anymore.
No. That's really interesting.
That's what I say. I stumbled upon actually the outcome of that, which was I assume when they say banned from track days, they're not banned from the track. They're banned from track days, and most likely that's because the support structure isn't there at a track day the same as it is if you have something like your LMPs there and things like that. They're not going around Anglesey anyway, but the support structure that comes with a race series like that shifts and changes the rules anyway, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So self-fulfilling prophecy, the answer was nothing will change, and they'll just keep bringing electric and hybrid in, and motorsport will continue. So that's a bit of a moot point, really. But it made for an interesting conversation earlier today.
Definitely.
And it's thought-provoking, especially because it all comes off the back of a what if, or a maybe, or a not yet decided. Although the way that it's being portrayed is that it's already decided. This is what's going to happen, and they've even shifted the goalposts themselves, haven't they? So,
this document, one of the things in it was how many times this has been pushed back and changed and revoked and then tweaked and put back forward and all this lot, and it's crazy. And even there are a lot of comments, sort of after with the follow-up comments and the replies to it and everything that were saying similar to that. The infrastructure isn't there. Even electricity companies were commenting saying they can't yet handle it. The infrastructure can't handle it yet. If it was that big push, Now, interestingly, in my little rabbit hole, what I found out is exemption of micro vehicle manufacturers, so fewer than 1,000 annual registrations. So companies like probably GBS, Great British Sports Cars.
How many Lamborghinis are made a year?
Too many now.
Is it 1,000 though? Is it 1,000?
It's got to be.
You keep everyone busy, and I'll Google it. We trust Google, don't we?
Well, that was micro vehicles, small vehicle manufacturers between 1,000 and 2,500. But I still think they're doing more than that.
Just maybe with the Urus coming on. Oh wow, no, massively over that. I'm surprised there. Even still, I think this number sounds too big. Are you ready?
Go on, I'm ready.
10,687 Lamborghinis. That sounds like a lot, because you don't see them on every street corner, do you?
No, but that's worldwide.
It is.
The world's a big place.
It is, but if you split that across the continents, that's still over 1,000 cars. I know it's a big old world, but America probably has the most, and that's a big old land mass, isn't it?
Yeah.
And did a load not go down in one of those
container ships
as well? That
probably.
There was a few of them gone down there. gone down.
Yeah, probably that was it. That was it.
Imagine in 100 or 200 years' time, the people who discover that buried treasure. Combustion engine.
Hybrid.
Wheels.
Remember, there we go. Remember when everyone thought that electric and hybrid was the answer? A bit like when the government told everyone to buy diesel.
Yeah.
And remember,
I didn't interject because I thought I'd get my opportunity. My opportunity has come around now, which is we're around about the time of the 5-year cycle for the. Actually, this is the way. I'm sure we're around about that. It might be next year, or it might. I'm pretty sure it'd be next year or the year after. It's the 5-year roll. I'd have to think back now, but it is around about 5 years. Diesels, hybrids, downsizing, petrols, hybrids, electrics,
LPG.
Yeah. Well, that was while back, wasn't it? And LPG's kind of had quite a nice run, though, to be fair, isn't it? But only sort of in the background.
It's just one of those things
that along in the background that those who knew have had it. But then people were either yes or no to LPG, weren't they? The whole it might explode thing.
My first Supra, sorry, just plugging in some power. There we go. My first Supra, when I got it, it had been removed, but it had LPG. And when I got that in 2000, and the sort of injector nozzle collar was still on the intake, and there was always in the bumper there was the old screw cap thing and the pipe that went into the boot but was cut off. So there we go.
Quite as exciting, so this isn't going to be the buzzword that draws people in probably, although I am an avid Volvo lover, so it would draw me in. A 940 2-litre high pressure turbo with overdrive that had LPG, and that was actually really good and nicely done. That was just a tank where the spare wheel was.
Yep.
Hidden away, which for a car from the early 90s is pretty good actually.
Yeah.
Ran really well on both. Switched over on its own, things like that. It was a tricky system, really.
Nice.
And they were kind of a homebrew system, really, weren't they? Well, they were.
Oh, yeah.
They were. Someone came up with an idea. Let's do this, and they did look a little bit like that because they had to be retrofitted to a car, didn't they? So.
Yeah. Always.
Yeah. Although Volvo did release the biofuel ones.
Yeah.
1.8 petrol with a LPG
factory
the fuel.
Yeah. There we go. But still, doesn't change the fact, never caught on.
It's very true. Yep.
So, micro manufacturers, what was interesting, kit cars as well, special purpose and kit vehicles from the client say 2030. They are not, so they're not going to be in it, basically. Large number of respondents supported exemptions for kit cars from the 2030 requirements. Again, some discussion still. However, it also went on to say all new cars and vans must be zero emission by 2035, including those registered by MVNs and SVMs.
So they've got to pay an execution, is what we're saying.
Yeah, that's going to be a massive hit because for a company, small companies like that, how are they going to meet that? How are they going to develop hybrid technology? It's going to be tough. I mean, I'm not saying it's not doable because they've met previous emission things like catalytic converters needing to be installed, safety systems, things like that. They've moved with the times, but still, it's quite a hit.
I would agree anything's doable, time being the limiting factor usually. The thing is, blink and we'll be at 2035 because it's not a long time away, is it? 10 years. It really does just go like that.
Really flies. Yeah, really flies.
Interestingly, I'm gonna. Are we allowed to veer onto opinions of electric cars, or have you got more to talk about before we go there?
I've got loads, and I don't want to be long. I don't want to make this a massively drawn out thing. So, but also, by all means, this is our chat. So
here's my controversial, maybe controversial.
If anyone's along for the ride, then that's great. And if they don't want to, they'll turn off. So it's all good.
Yes, no, yeah, that's the beauty of the internet and the off switch. Yeah. So, actually, and it's not a new perspective, really.
Right.
But, and it's going to sound odd because of where I've drawn my major conclusion from. I recently, as you know, I've driven a few electric cars. Had a few emails from Ford, come and drive this, come and drive that, come and drive the other. One of my good friends has bought a Mustang Mach-E electric.
Yeah.
And I actually like it. I like how it drives, and I can see the benefits of it. But they're limited, right? Where they're not limited, though, and a company like you use there, for example, I'll get onto why this is a weird reason for my opinion in a second. The GBS, the Zeros, the little Caterham Westfield type style cars. I think there's a place for electric variants of those because they really are the definition of scaled up RC car.
It pains me to say it, but I agree.
Hey, well, we can end there then, right?
And we're done.
let me tell you why I've come to that conclusion, right? As you know, Forza in our house is the in game at the moment.
Yeah.
Forza is very much still an arcade game, as in we've all seen how I drive on iRacing. It's like I've just got my learner's permit. On Forza, I am, as Richard Hammond would say, a driving god. I can slide cars left, right, and centre. I can put them wherever I want. And I tend to find that a lot of the time the car I'm driving is a Taycan Turbo. That's right, I use that word, Taycan Turbo. But what I seem to be doing with all of my cars on there, don't worry, we'll get back to that. We'll put that over here and we'll come back to it. Actually, we can talk about Ferrari. Remind me about Ferrari.
This is going to be an hour again, isn't it?
Yay.
We're at half an hour already.
I've moved away from where I was, which would have justified why I have so much time as well, wouldn't I? Anna is away, so I've remodeled the living room, but now we're not in the living room, so no, that joke's gone. Never mind.
That joke's gone.
Moved all of my car memorabilia into the living room, much to her dismay when I sent her a picture earlier. But I digress. What I'm finding on that game is I make everything big power and 4-wheel drive, and I just hoon it around wherever I can, and I chuck it around, and it's fun. Now on the road, I get in my car and I for the most part you poodle around because you're always going somewhere, you're busy or it's packed, or you just can't drive your cars to their potential. You haven't been able to for a long time since cars became real performance cars for the road. But on something like Forza, arcade simulation, there's no consequence or anything like that. And I just find that the electric cars or the petrol cars are as fun, one or the other. And it's ultimately RC cars for grown-ups. That's my opinion. And that's why I think things like the GBSs, if they go to electric, the only thing I would want is them to put a motor in each of the 4 corners and actually have a 4-wheel drive hooligan of an electric car that can just about do 30 minutes before you have to go and put it on charge, or even better still, because these are low volume manufacture, develop a battery that just clips out the same as your RC car had, and have a battery sat on the side that you clip in, and away it goes. But the other thing I think somebody needs to come up with is, in terms of track days and things like that, is a safety solution, a contained safety solution for batteries. That obviously needs focus and development, doesn't it? If that's a concern for areas where cars are going to be driven in that manner, then that's really something that needs developing, isn't it?
I think we're getting fully down the line now of electric vehicles, and the fact that I've said this for a long time. The electric motors are there. I believe they're brilliant. Electric motors are what they do, fantastic. The batteries are the weak point at the moment. I know there's a load of tech going on at the moment in different forms of, energy storage, sort of batteries. I think as soon as that progresses and becomes part of available mainstream, we'll be there. We'll be there with electric. But you've still got the charging issues and the infrastructure. Because it's no good if you live in a block of flats and there's hardly any parking and you got to drape it across a road. And I know they're putting new pavement channels in and stuff like that, but it's just so much.
It's an interesting one. It's also it's not one of the biggies there, but this is something that when people said about infrastructure, this was one of the things I did say in respect of being for electric is they just need a channel in the curb. And you know, that's one of those, like, you've said something, then years later it just becomes the norm. Whereas when you said it, people are like, oh, you can't do that.
You mean like air bubbles under a boat?
Yes, and thank you for finding the company that did that. Yes, that's However, Ed, I didn't have multi-million pounds or a team to back my idea 10 years ago, unfortunately. Yeah. Well, actually, it was 12 years ago, so 13 years ago, 2012-ish. Yeah. That was when I wanted. That's when I wanted to revolutionise the nautical playing field.
And you got shot down.
I'm just glad I told everybody about it at the time, because now I can say I told you.
Yeah.
And that's worth more than being rich, definitely.
Yeah. Moving on.
Yeah. Quickly, please.
Right. So we're kind of along the lines of electric is okay in the right setting. And as you know, I love the Microlino. I've driven that loads of times. I love the Microlino because it's built for a purpose. I mean, we could go on and on about electric. We've got our opinions on that, for weeks, really, haven't we?
Yeah.
And I think we're very much on the same score on that they've got their place. There is a place for them.
100%.
But they're not be all and end all.
Yeah, no, and they should have done from the beginning, and this is where we keep coming back round to is, I feel like the marketing of them is where they've fallen over, because they're chasing 0 to 60 times, and actually, that would be the bit I'm least interested in. Take all the tech out of it, make them slower, but make them have 800 miles of range. So I know I can jump in it like I can jump in my old Volvo and travel to the other end of the country 100%. Reliably and confidently. Because, like you say, if the range is the limitation, then why is that not the part that they're now advertising? I mean, they are, but they're still pushing technology and things like that. And I feel more disconnect from new cars than I do connected with all of the systems that are being implemented.
Yeah.
Personally, I feel like I don't feel like a car is a driver's tool anymore. It very much feels almost a step towards public transport. You jump in a car and it drives you to where you want it to go.
Even to the point, and we've had this discussion before, and my other half really wants to have take an R35 out for a drive, and I know, I'm confident to say she'll
trust you.
Trust me. Yeah.
Trust you.
Trust me.
I'm
confident. I'm confident she's going to hate it, right? Because it's exactly that. And it was a mate of mine that drove one before I did, a few years before I did, and he used to have an R32 Skyline, and the guy who owned the car said to him, "I need some fuel in. Feel free to take it a drive. Have a go in it. See what you reckon." And he went to the petrol station thinking, "Yeah, I'm going to go for a blast." Put the fuel in and went back to the workshop. And he said, "No, I'm not interested," because he said it just lacked something. And we've had this conversation about your BM. And when I drove the R35s, I got the same impression. I felt it. There's just nothing there. It's just you're just getting in a car and driving it. You're not experiencing it. Yeah.
However, I would quite happily get in the new what's the Alpine one called? The Renault 5, but it's the Alpine.
Oh, the little electric.
Yeah. I would definitely drive that to the local shops and back.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, to the shops and back.
That's what I think electric cars should have been. If we're bothered about emission zones and things like that, then they don't need to go on the motorway. They just need to drive in the local vicinities, don't they?
Yeah.
With a suitable infrastructure that allows them to just do it locally. Which I suppose then, yes, we can focus back on performance and 0 to 60 times and things like that. Although I think that as a stat is just massively disconnected from the world we live in now. Because the moment you try to do a 0 to 60 run on the street, you're getting arrested and put in prison, or you're getting the entire community scowling at you, because why would you drive like that?
Yeah.
Which brings me on to the sound thing, because the only people who really can get away with it, and I have to say, and I would stand by this, the only people who I tend to see doing this on the road for the most part are silent electric cars that come whizzing by.
I hate to say it, but I agree. The amount of cars I see that are electric and they drive poorly. And I saw one the other day at the lights. He was busy playing around with his 50-inch flat screen, telly controller in the middle of the dash.
With no buttons on.
With no buttons, just playing around with stuff, whatever he was doing. And the lights changed, and he hadn't noticed because he's too busy playing around with his flat screen TV in the middle. And then he realised and pinned it off and went, and it's like, everyone behind you still sat there, and you've just gone off like a bat out of, and it's just...
Like what would have been termed as a boy racer in days gone by.
Yeah, but because he's not...
a shift.
He's doing it silently, no one notices.
Yeah, it is.
Right, so we digress, getting back to the vehicles and motorsport and everything quickly, because as I say, I'm conscious we're really chipping on the time. So yeah, going back to what the actual mandate says, all new cars and vans. So yeah, the small manufacturers, the kit cars, looks like they're going to be bound by the 2035. They're going to be done there. Government will permit the sale of hybrid electric vehicles, plug-in vehicles, alongside zero emission in the period. But we knew that because the whole phasing out and blah 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 nonsense from the start. So they're just putting that in writing. So again, that was gov.uk. So we're direct to the source there. Life cycle. There was an interesting bit on this, and again, I'm not going to rattle through the whole thing. But they were discussing the life cycle and the life emissions, from the start to the finish, from when they're digging them up, manufacturing them, digging the minerals up.
Did you call it well to wheel before?
Well to wheel. I did, yeah. Well to wheel. Yeah. Well to wheel. So, it basically, they have stated that manufacturing the vehicle of an electric vehicle tend to be higher than manufacturing internal combustion. So they have clarified that it is worse emissions wise to manufacture an electric vehicle. Powering the vehicle through its life cycle tends to be lower. So yeah, electric is going to be lower. But as we've already seen, the electric energy is putting so many emissions in currently. Are you just shifting the burden? Are we counting that? Go on.
I've got a point about this and about electric being more efficient, right? Yeah. And it's like using the old drive cycles and the world standard drive cycles. Okay, that's fine if you drive like that. Yeah? But we've just established electric car drivers tend to not drive like that. Now, if you were to jump in your car, okay, and scream it through the town, first off, everybody in your local community would know it was you. They'd be asking you why you're driving so aggressively, why you're driving so hard.
Yep.
And you're burning through masses and masses of fuel to do that within a short period of time. That's very irresponsible of you. Okay.
Can I just say
the same thing?
Just hold that thought. Sorry to interrupt. Hold that thought 1 second. How long ago did this come in? 20 or 30? It must have just pinged in. I'm going to put it on screen.
Okay.
Surely building a fast electric car defeats the purpose as it depletes the batteries quicker and needs charging sooner, therefore using more electricity, which may have been generated from fossil fuels.
That's exactly what I was about to say. If you are not driving an electric car in the manner of save the planet and be efficient, if you're personally being irresponsible, purchasing a responsible vehicle is eliminated by the fact that you're burning through energy quicker. So, is it any better? And has any study been done on when you really drive an electric car, like the real world person tends to, or seems to tend to do, which it isn't fair to pigeonhole everybody, but when we're talking about examples, there are certainly plenty of examples of people burying their foot into the bulkhead every set of traffic lights, with no noise, so no judgment from the surroundings. Nobody really bats an eye, but people notice, and it's usually somebody in a performance car who hasn't taken the bait because we're not really interested in launching off the traffic lights. I'm enjoying my burble of my V8.
Interesting you say take the bait, because as a performance car driver as well, how many times do you find you get an electric vehicle pull up next to you and then they're itching for it, and it's like you kind of purposely pull off slower just to make a point of I don't care, no one cares.
Yeah.
Zero were given, like
100%.
Yeah, you can accelerate really quick, brilliantly. I don't care.
Well, it comes down to so the problem for me is, and this is why I've ended up with the car I have. My car looks nice sat still, and I'm sure there's going to be an argument from somebody with an EV car for the same. It sounds good sat still. It looks good on the inside, looks good on the outside. It's got character. I've been in 3 electric cars recently, which all had the exact same pickup drop dashboard, the exact same one. I could have been in any of the 3. Yeah. That for me is boring. That in itself is boring, and I think there hasn't been enough focus on that for enough of a time, and I think that's one of the things that's caused a resistance to electric cars. Because when you actually drive them, they are exciting. They're fast. You can really get some performance out of them.
Yeah.
But there wasn't really the Taycan. It's nice, but it's not as nice as a 911.
No,
it just isn't.
No.
The Mach-E is one of my other favourite electric cars, and then Hyundai are doing a stand-up job of it, I think, at the moment with their styles. But that's combustion engine or electric. They just seem to be knocking it out of the park with everything, don't they?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But I think that's where they've lacked. They've tried to make them different for the wrong reasons, rather than let's make a pretty car, and people will buy that.
Yeah. No, definitely. I completely agree. Completely agree. And of course, coming full circle back, once they're done, because the harder people mash their feet in and burn through that electric and deplete the battery, because the faster you deplete a battery, the worse it is for the battery's overall life.
And that's not just electric cars, is it? That's not us beating on electric cars. That's a matter of fact with anything that has a battery. Abuse the battery depletes, the battery eventually is garbage.
Well, even a petrol car, if you kick its head in all day long, or actually, no, I've had some right naff boxes which I just kick the heads in all day long and it just keeps going. But let's not go down that route.
We've not got time for the Rover story today.
The Rover story can wait, but for the most part, if you just beat on a car all day long, you're reducing its life. That's the long and short. This was Commons Library, Parliament.uk. This one. So I told you I went on a rabbit hole. I really did. It accepts that it's going to, it's worse to manufacture. However, it is better over its longer life cycle. But then it also goes on to say about decommissioning batteries at the end of their life, which is a massive problem. There are various environmental considerations related to EVs, including the use of critical minerals in batteries, which have challenges with sustainable extraction and how best to recycle the batteries. Which was interesting that they actually recognised that. So, see the online calculator. That was a fun little thing I found. This is an online calculator whereby you can play about with how many miles you do a day to how efficient or how long it'll take to balance out. So if you only do 6k a day, it'll take you some 12 years before you actually start breaking even. Now, let's face it, who does that little? You know, an average, you're probably at about, I think for a 50, I think I worked out a 12,000 mile a year car is about 52 kilometers a day on average. So you can see, actually, it does make a difference over a lifetime, which I won't deny. But again, this is going by how much you mash your foot. So.
No, well, again, if we're looking at data of a perfect world scenario of everybody drives like Miss Daisy and stays within optimal speed paces and things, yeah, fine. But that's not how cars get driven. That's not how any cars get driven.
No.
Combustion or electric. Nothing. And that's why it's just a guide. What miles per gallon will you get out of your car? Your average miles per gallon is the one that your car tells you, if you're lucky enough to have a car with a gauge for miles per gallon, of course.
Yeah.
But I guarantee none of them will be up where the internet or where the book tells you they are.
No. I'm forever seeing in the Navara forum, Navara Facebook page, you know, it's almost a weekly thing. Someone will go, "Oh, hey, what's everyone getting on their mile per gallons?" You know, because it's just then they all vary. They're all over the place, and normally it's like, just depends how you drive it, you know. So yeah, that was a very interesting little tool I found off the back of that.
Yeah.
I've titled this bit "Don't be wishy washy," which is similar to what we say to students sometimes when they're writing things. While EVs are not technically zero emission, so they've identified it. Evidence suggests likely fewer, average. It's all just so wishy-washy. Everything. Again, this is Parliament. Researchbriefings.files.parliament. You know. Now, here's something that I did find interesting. Several studies have been conducted on EV life cycle emissions with varying conclusions based on the methodology and assumptions used by the researchers. Now, this ties in nicely to what you were saying a minute ago about real-world driving. Are they doing that thing like how all the diesel cars got through the emissions because they were running at, like, you know, the highest gear, the lowest speed with no wind resistance and never putting the throttle down or anything for 3 minutes and going, "Hey, they're in." So, and again, this is Parliament, you know, they're just, it's all so wishy-washy. I'm skimming through slightly now because, you know, because of the time, but I've titled this section "Recognizing the Elephant."
Okay.
Batteries for electric vehicles. This is all direct quotes, by the way. This is pulled straight from the document, all of these. Batteries for electric vehicles can require rare elements such as lithium and cobalt, which has raised environmental and ethical issues. So again, they're fully aware that it ain't great, you know. In countries where these elements mined, processed into batteries, questions over sustainable and secure supply as demand for batteries grows. In other words, they know at some point these countries might suddenly go, "Actually, you're making quite a lot of money off of us." No.
Yeah.
You know, look at the oil crisis, and look how cities boomed out of the desert and nothing, you know, in such a little time. So yeah, despite support for battery recycling, The UK is not maximising the recycling of EV batteries. UK also has insufficient capacity to recover critical minerals from batteries and retain them in the UK. In other words, we're going to send them abroad and let someone else take all the best bits out of them. So we can't even recycle them at the end of their life. And again, this is Parliament. This is Parliament saying this. Parliament are saying we can't sort this out.
What I actually find hilarious when you talk about recycling is I had a conversation once with the gent that was collecting our blue bin, our recycle for plastic blue bin. He informed me that only 3 shapes of plastic bottle can actually be recycled at the minute. So I think we've got bigger fish to fry, really.
Now I don't know how
littler fish to deal with before we get to the elephant.
I don't know how true this is. Go off and check your facts. But I read several years ago. Now this was probably 10, 12 years ago. I read that we have nowhere in the UK that recycles, or at the time we had nowhere that recycled cardboard, and that all the cardboard got shipped across to Denmark or Sweden or something, where it was recycled there. So actually, because of the environmental impact of transporting it, sorting it, putting it on a ship, taking it over there, all of that lot, it was more environmentally friendly just burn it in your back garden.
Use it as a fuel. Yeah.
How true that is now, I don't know how true it was then. That was before I was super anal on fact checking, but I did read it somewhere. But then I also read that the Chuckle brothers were in prison for armed robbery once, so
the internet's a dangerous place, isn't it?
Yeah, that was pre-internet. That was when I was in my early teens, and I often recite this story to students. I was in my early teens. Somewhere I heard this, and I went around telling people this for years and years until I was well into my 20s, and I decided to look it up when the internet was a thing. I was like, one day I just thought, where did I hear that? Like, is that even true? Looked it up. Complete nonsense, total fabrication. Yeah, and I've been telling people this for years. Hey, did you know? If you look it up,
where the TV demise came from. You and your big mouth.
Yeah, probably was. If you look it up, there is actually a thing about it. It was like one of those urban legends that used to go around.
Oh, Mandela effect.
Yeah, possibly. But yeah, it's one of those things that people talked about, and it's not actually true at all. But so yeah, here we go. This is my best option. Now we're getting on to motorsporty bit. Okay. One option, because there are a few different ones currently. This is one that I picked on just by chance. Zero, synthetic fuels, right? This one, Zero, it's carbon neutral. Same performance and range as regular fossil fuel petrol. Carbon used is extracted from air, not the ground. So without boring you too much, this isn't where they grow whatever plant it was and then turn that into fuel. It's not a biofuel. These are the fuels where they're basically using carbon capture from the atmosphere. They're using solar power to split water into hydrogen and oxygen. The oxygen gets released to the atmosphere. The hydrogen is then bonded with the carbon drawn from the atmosphere to create a hydrocarbon, and then with some further magic that is beyond me on a chemistry level, they are creating. You've got your hydrocarbon. That's fuel. They're creating a liquid. It's fuel. You put it in your tank. Job done. No changes needed. I have been banging on about this for so long that I think this is the way forward, because as here, this company Zero, they've got a couple of things. They did it in the Silverstone, went straight into a McLaren, 1971 McLaren, and completed laps of the circuit on it, straight in, no changes. And the Duke motorbike, at Festival of Speed, put it in the tank, it ran it. So
excellent.
You've got no change. You've got zero emission vehicles. Then you've got no change to the infrastructure. All the infrastructure's already there. I'm telling you, you want to invest. This is, in my opinion, this and battery recycling are the areas to invest in.
Buy a petrol station now, whilst everyone else is worried about buying a petrol station.
That's it. Now's the time. Buy low, Buy low, sell high. So the only problem is the cost. But as they say, once production is scaled, target price, they're targeting it to be in line with fossil fuels. So that's where they're placing it. So that's going to be.
But that's a self-serving system, then, isn't it?
Yeah.
Burn, carbon capture, recreate, burn, carbon capture, recreate.
Not only is it creating a zero-emission vehicle, it's pulling carbon from the atmosphere.
You didn't have to make another car either.
And releasing oxygen, because when they split the hydrogen, when they split the water into hydrogen and oxygen, they're releasing the oxygen. So, we'll probably have a problem in the future. Where trees are dying because there's not enough carbon dioxide for them to, photosynthesize or something. But let's deal with that issue down the road, eh?
Yes. Shelve that for 2036.
Exactly. So, going to Formula One again, Formula1.com, directly to that. Next year, as part of F1's plans to be net zero carbon by 2030, Sport is pioneer a drop-in 100% sustainable fuel can not only be used in F1 cars from 2026, but crucially can be utilised in most road cars across the world. So this is the same sort of thing. It's a drop-in replacement fuel, and Formula One will be running it from next season, from the very first all the way through. Yeah,
and all of their support vehicles, perhaps, I suppose.
Probably will be as well. But you don't hear, again, this is what annoys me about the media, you don't hear them really hyping this up. You're more electric, banning vehicles. Yeah, but what about all this that's going on in the background? WEC as well, quite interestingly. WEC is slightly different, obviously, with Le Mans and everything. It's created from French agriculture, wine residue. But, God knows the French have got enough of that, haven't they? So.
Oh, a healthy source. It's, what was it before? Ethical? Is it ethical?
I don't know.
Make this, as long as consumption of wine is still ethically okay, then yeah, we're good.
Yeah, it's all good. So yeah, this is again WEC from in March 2022 during the first event of the championship. So that's been running it now for 3 years.
Hope for my 2CV then.
Yeah,
excellent,
definitely. And again, the source for this was Total Energies. So this is the actual fuel company, direct to the source, as we always say. So there we go. We've made it. I've got through my points in under an hour. I've tried to fly through them not too quick. We've diverted off onto electric cars and everything else. I think the long and short of it, and this is my summary of it, going back to the original point, do I think that it's going to affect motorsport? No. Thanks for. Go on. What's your final thoughts on all of this? What's your thoughts?
I suppose, like I said, it's almost one of those where you ask the question and then you sort of come out the other end before you even needed to have the conversation. That it's going to continue. This is what we always say, really, but it's like historic vehicles. Yeah. They're not going anywhere, and there will always be people that champion historic racing. I love historic racing anyway. I think it's amazing to see these cars still out there doing what they do best. That's not going to go away, and all of the things that we now class as current, which is arguably a bigger playing field than it was back then, something has to happen with it all, doesn't it? Yeah, it has to be supported, because that's just the way things are. Nothing just gets put in the box and pushed on the shelf, does it?
No.
So when they say banned from a certain point, I can't see it having an impact. Certainly not in my lifetime, our lifetimes, I don't think. But it all comes off the back of this. I always come back to the 5-year cycle, and I think we must be around about the point where we're about to be told what the next new best route is. Yeah,
I'd agree. I think so too. I think it's starting to. fall apart a little bit in areas. Yeah.
Would you buy an electric car yourself? That's got to be a question that we answer, isn't it? Would you buy an electric car yourself?
No.
But
I think the big problem. No, that's not true. That's not true and not fair, and not true and not fair. Would I buy one if the price was right and if it suited what I needed at that time? Yes, right. However, as we know, I don't tend to spend a lot on vehicles as such. Well, I kind of do, but I kind of don't. Can't afford to spend a lot on vehicles, you know. But I don't have a need for one currently. It wouldn't fit anything. Now, interestingly, we looked at one a couple of years ago, and we looked again recently for my other half to do her commute, you know, for work. But do you know what clinched it on the fact that it wasn't worth doing? The range. The range wasn't there.
Yeah.
And that was what did it. It was like, the range isn't there, so what's the point? It's an instant, like, it just, you know, there's certain things on some cars that are kind of like, you can let them slide, or you can go, well, it's not quite right. But if it won't get you there, it's just a complete, well, that's it, off the table, isn't it? So, yeah. So would I buy one if I lived in a city again, or if, I mean, even possibly locally to nip to the shops and stuff, I'd have a little Microlino if the price was right, but the price isn't right. So how about yourself? Would you have one?
I would like one because I think like anything, when you're into technical stuff and you're a bit of a geek, you just like different things, don't you? Would I buy a brand new one? No, not at all. Would I buy one when they've come down to a realistic price? Maybe, but I'm very much in the same boat as you. Is I don't need one. It would be a purchase just because I like them. Now I like like I said, the Taycan's a cool looking car. It is a cool looking car in its own right. I do like the Mach-E, especially the GT. I think that's a car that you need to be stood in front of to fully appreciate it, though. I don't think photos do them justice. When you stand in front of them and they're big, they're really big.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, no, I have seen them.
But they work a lot better in real when you stand in front of them. They're a nice design.
Yeah.
And as a Mustang owner, I do like the electric ones as well.
Yeah.
And I think there is a place for them. Just not on my drive yet because I don't have a need for one.
No. Excellent. And on that note, I think we've covered some ground. I think the key points are always go and do your research, always look into it. It does look like that they are trying to do this whole shutdown by 2035 will be when they don't make them anymore. But there's still going to be a lot of cars knocking about secondhand. I honestly don't think we'll get to the point where we can't buy, albeit secondhand, a petrol car before our lifetimes come to an end. I think there's just too many about still on the road, and I think the sustainable fuels are just going to suddenly pop on. I think they're going to sort of slowly creep in, and it's going to be one of those where, like with the whole diesel thing, it was kind of slowly, oh, maybe it wasn't the best idea. Here, buy this petrol car. This is nice, And my prediction is that there won't be any moment where the government suddenly backtrack or say no, don't do this or whatever. This will just be slowly modified as it has been going through to say that, well, yeah, they're zero emission, because they've already left, as we've seen going through all the paperwork, they've left a lot of openings that they can tweak it. I think it will just get to a point where they'll say, yeah, that's classed as a zero emission vehicle.
That's classed as, yes. Yeah.
It's running on, as long as it's running on synthetic fuel it's classed as that. It'll be like red diesel. If you get caught running your regular fuel in it, but then why would they keep regular fossil fuel if they've got this other one that can make all cars, zero emission? They'll just start filling pumps on that, and then go, oh well, yeah, they can still make them hybrid vehicles if they run on this synthetic fuel, and that will be how it slips through.
Yeah, I think if you take off the subject cars or combustion or electric or anything like that, if you think of it more from a wider perspective, just like a business, if all of a sudden you can't buy electric cars, but you've got near 100 years worth of electric cars knocking about in some way, shape or form, it would make good business sense to be a provider of fuel for that amount of people. So yeah. That's the reason I can't see, again, like shut the box and put combustion engines on the shelf. They're done. I just don't think there will be, because there'll be too many opportunities for businesses to come along and provide a service.
Yeah.
Too many opportunities for people to do it. And the major fuel companies, I'm sure, will step in and do their versions as well. So
yeah,
I agree. I still think that's going to be the way as well.
Definitely.
But the main question was, how's it going to affect motorsport? If they're banned from track days, everyone will just have to become a professional racing driver.
Sounds good.
So there we go.
Sounds like a plan. So the people we've decided then, the conclusion are, the people that are going to benefit, and if you want to invest in shares, you want to invest in battery recycling, synthetic fuels, and race car instructors.
Yeah. That's it, yeah. ARDS instructor, yeah.
ARDS instructor. Top tips.
Excellent.
Top tips brought to you by Ed and Wayne.
That's it. Trust us.
But don't trust us and do your own research.
Yeah. You need one of those fast-talking, do not believe anything that you've been told today on this podcast.
Yeah, I'm sure. Well, they normally come with the adverts, don't they? They come with the caveats and everything to say that. Hang on. There you go. Did I spell it right? Because I wrote it so quick I didn't even look. No, but never mind.
See, that's better.
Do you like that?
Yeah.
Right. Amazing. Thanks for watching.
Yeah.
I've got this lovely counter here.
Let's see if anybody is watching.
Two people. It says 2.
I've turned into 3 now. I've just hit play.
You've just
unless I might have been one of the 2.
You probably were. Well, let's wrap it up.
We all have to start somewhere.
We've all got to start somewhere. Hey, it's just fun chatting about this stuff, and if anyone learns something new off the back of it, or if we find out stuff, it's all good for me. It's all good for me.
We have to do it this way because of how far away we live. So this is just 2 pals chatting.
Well, it is, isn't it? This is the thing. We'd have this conversation anyway normally. So the fact that it like, let's record it, put it out there, and it can be for anyone to laugh at or look at or gain maybe a little bit of thought from or provoke something. It's all good.
Yeah,
done its job. Amazing. Right,
let's leave a question for everybody else. Sorry, just before you say the end, because you and I had a different perspective on the image that you created for tonight's video. The battery. When you look at the battery, what character, and it may be a generational thing, what character comes to mind from the battery? You have to put it in the comments. I'll tell you mine. That's sort of forcing the perspective, isn't it? So I'll not say what my opinion is, but maybe if somebody comes across this in 15 years or so and puts a comment on what they think it looks like, we can come back and correct
and have a laugh, have a look, and have a laugh. Yeah, I like it. Fantastic. Right, should we wrap it?
We'll wrap it. Yes.
Amazing. Thanks for chatting, as always.
Brilliant.
Been a pleasure. And yeah, we will no doubt have another topic come up soon that we can pull to pieces.
Well, look forward to it.
I've got an outro screen. Are you ready for the outro screen?
I guess so.
There we go.
Nice.
Yeah, nice big outro screen. Right, it's been a pleasure.
Yes, as always.
Until next time.